Now, we've already talked about wearing your designer handbags to the workplace. And we've talked about no matter what size you are, handbags don't discriminate. They're going to look good on you no matter what. But today, we're going to be talking about an unpopular opinion that expensive handbags are trashy. Now, this unpopular opinion comes from Reddit, and I'm going to leave it linked down below. Now, as offensive as this unpopular opinion may sound, it did actually lead me deeper into learning about some concepts about the psychology of luxury goods consumers. So first, I'm going to read the post out to you, and we're going to go through some of the comments. Then we're going to be talking about some concepts I just learned about, such as consumer identity, aspirational spending, and imposter syndrome, and how these relate to us as designer handbag lovers. So starting off with the post, expensive handbags are trashy. You spent $4,000 on an effing purse. It's like a sign that you carry around that says you make bad choices. You don't look fancy. You look trashy, like you're insecure about who you are and you need to cover it up with a distraction. Oh, this is a really hard-hitting and harsh opinion. And this is definitely going to offend some of the luxury handbag designer lovers out there. Okay, so let's see what some people said in the comment section. I worked in luxury fashion for high-end European designers for years, and those trashy handbags take days to make by older artisans in Italy. If you went to their workshop and saw generations of knowledge at work, maybe you'd think differently. It's a dying art that has a long history. You may not appreciate it, but don't knock the people who do. It's not just about a label, it's about appreciating human creativity and excellence. Jackie O, Princess Diana love designer handbags, but they're the furthest thing from trashy. Another comment, LV or Gucci handbags are for the super rich or poor, nothing in between. And then someone replied to them saying, everyone in the Vegas service industry wears LV. They make like $130K a year, not super rich, but certainly not poor. I don't see many super poor people buying real ones, except for during the pandemic when they enhanced those benefits. Another comment, I agree, not because I think buyers are insecure or anything, but it's just they all look like shit and the same. The same can be said for some types of clothes too. What I've come to realize is that they don't care about how the bag looks, or even that they can get the same thing for 10 times less the price for good quality. They just want the brand, flex the money they spent on the product. Another comment, it's like the majority of people who buy these bags can't even afford them. And they're not even that nice. You can buy the same looking bag for a fraction of the price. So it comes down to the brand name, following a trend, having a certain image, or appearing a certain way to the world. Like when you buy a $4,000 bag and you can't even pay your bills. Okay, so what do you guys think about this Reddit post and the comment section? Like, are we all just trashy? Are we all insecure and don't realize it? And we're all just trying to hide it with our expensive handbags? Are we actually deluding ourselves about how unique our form of self-expression in handbags is? And we're all just buying the same ugly hyped up bags that all look the same and you could get the same type of bag for 10 times less? Is that really us and we're just tricking ourselves? Maybe we're just all sheep and we're just all trend followers. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Now, we all have insecurities. Me, you, the person who made that Reddit post. And as we go through different phases of life, you have different insecurities. You know, like when you're a teenage girl, you're insecure about your face and your appearance and maybe your body shape. Then you become a young adult, you might be insecure about your career progression. Then you become someone who has a family and you could be insecure about the financial stability for your family. Everyone has insecurities, no one is impervious to it. But are we all turning to expensive handbags to hide them? I don't think so. Maybe some people are, but I don't think this is relevant to all of us. Now, it's this post that led me to look further into it, and that's when I learned about the terms consumer identity, aspirational spending, and imposter syndrome, and how these relate to us as consumers of luxury handbags. Now, I found an article from the Financial Diet, and they open up with an anecdote. The anecdote is about how you have a friend who is a fabulous it girl. She's beautiful, she's well dressed, she's got the life, she's vacationing in St. Bart's, she's attending fancy parties with her celebrity friends. And one day you're out shopping together and you see this fabulous dress. Not quite your style, but nevertheless, definitely a beautiful it girl dress. She nudges you, she goes, go, just buy it. And you're like, you know what? I want to be an it girl, I want to feel like an it girl. It's not quite my style, but I'm willing to try. I want to know how it feels like to be an it girl. So you do, you buy it. But then when you put it on, you notice it just doesn't quite feel like you. It feels like you're wearing a costume. It's not really your style and who you are. And it makes you not want to wear it anymore. and then it ends up just being pushed to the back of the closet where it ends up dying a slow and sad death. So this is how the article introduces the concept of consumer identity. Consumer identity is a consumption pattern through which a consumer describes themselves. You can think of it this way: how what the things you buy signals to the rest of the world about who you are and what you value, or how you want to be perceived. As an example, they used a brand of cleaning products, Mrs. Meyer's, as signaling out to the world how eco-friendly you are, or how LV bags signal out your wealth and your taste in goods, or how that amazing It Girl dress will signal out to the world that you attend fancy parties. Now, whether these signals are true or not, we now know how the things that we use and the things we buy and wear can send out signals about us to the outside world. Now, I want you to take a moment to think about your own consumer identity. What signals do you think your luxury handbags are sending to the outside world about you? Or maybe you have other things that you also collect or are really passionate about. It could be Stanley cups, it could be makeup, it could be jewelry, it could be cars. What do you think those items are signaling about you to the outside world? And it doesn't even have to be a true reflection of you, just what do you think they are signaling about you? And back to the original Reddit post, do you feel as though your handbags are signaling out that you are trashy? That you are insecure, that you need to hide whatever insecurities you have with these handbags? Because I want to know. I personally don't feel that way. Maybe other people think that way about me. I don't know, but I personally don't feel that way. Do you feel that way? After I learned about consumer identity, I then learned about aspirational spending. So aspirational spending is spending that reflects what we want to do or who we want to be at some point in the future. So you can sort of think of this as, what are the things you want to or are going to buy to be a better version of yourself, whatever version that may be in the future. So here's my personal example. I aspire to be someone who's more better at budgeting, more fiscally responsible, and can have a better financial future. So in order to do that, I bought a budget binder. Now in this budget binder, I can set up my monthly expenses and designate my money for the month. Now, isn't that a bit of an oxymoron? I want to be more fiscally responsible, so I went out and spent money to do that. That's aspirational spending for you. I want to be better at something in the future, so then I bought something to help me do that. Now, I understand this budget binder is not going to make me better at budgeting. I have to make me better at budgeting. I have to do the internal work. But I did do some aspirational spending to help me along the way. And I can say this last month, I have been definitely more better aware of how I'm spending my money since I got this budget binder. Now, the problem with aspirational spending is if you're anything like me and you are prone to overspending, you can easily fall into overspending again. Or some people also end up spiraling into debt, particularly if you're doing aspirational spending, but it's in an impulsive way. So for example, you take up a hobby and that hobby involves sporting equipment or gear or whatever, and then you load up and gear up on everything you need, and then a month later, you're not interested in this anymore. Well, the same can be done with handbags. You might be enthralled with the hottest, newest release from Chanel and that everyone is raving about it and it's all over social media, and you want to be that girl that has the it bag, and then you go out and buy it, but then a month later, you're kind of over it and realize you didn't actually like it. So that's aspirational spending in handbags. So any aspirational spending that's done in impulsive nature can lead to expensive mistakes and debt as well. Now, another form of aspirational spending I've been doing recently is I never perceived myself as someone who's really good at decorating the home, someone who can create a really comfortable and cozy home. But we're coming into winter here in Australia, and I wanted to just make my living room a bit more cozy and a bit more comfortable for myself when I'm there. So I had these old cushions that had stain covers, so I went out and bought new cushion covers to go over the top of them for more of a winter feel and a cozy vibe. And I aspire to be someone who can create a more cozy and comfortable home for themselves. And I spent money to work my way towards that. And that's the thing we have to remember is we can't buy your way into being a new person, or you can't buy yourself out of a problem. You do have to do a lot of the internal work yourself and improve things like your skills. Become the person you want to be. Simply buying things is not going to achieve it alone. So tell me, what aspirational spending have you been doing lately? Did you buy any handbags that were aspirational so you could be someone you wanted to be but are not quite there yet? Or were you like me and spent money on your home to make it a better version of the home that you want for yourself? Let me know in the comment section. Not only that, tell me, do you find aspirational spending to be trashy or tacky, like you're trying to be someone that you're not? For me, I want to be someone who can create a better, more cozy home. I'm currently not there yet, but I'm trying to be. I don't think that's trashy or tacky. I think any form of self-improvement, and it sometimes takes money to be able to improve whatever it is you're doing. Now, this leads into the next concept I learned about, which is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a behavioral health phenomenon described as self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishments among high-achieving individuals. You can sort of think of this as feeling as though you're not actually good enough or capable enough of what you have or what you're doing. So, for example, maybe you were given a promotion at work, or you just scored a new client, and you feel the pressure, like, am I going to live up to the expectations? Can I do a good job here? And then you start to doubt yourself and feel like you're a fraud doing a job you're not actually capable of doing. Well, the same can be said about luxury handbags. These luxury handbags can cost an arm and a leg, but I don't have a super high income. I have a regular, schmegular, normal income. And so the percentage of the handbag cost to my income can seem extremely skewed or outlandish to some people. And they may say, well, that handbag shouldn't be purchased by someone with an income like yours. You are actually purchasing outside of your tax bracket. You are purchasing like someone who actually earns higher than you. Who are you trying to be? Why are you spending like someone that you're not? Now, while I don't feel like a fraud for buying these handbags, it can definitely raise feelings of self-doubt and make other people feel like a fraud, especially when they hear outsiders' opinions. So this is where imposter syndrome can come in relation to luxury goods. Some people may feel like they're living a lifestyle that they can't actually afford, or maybe they don't deserve, or they're not capable of. So now let's take a step back and revisit the concept of consumer identity. So we now know that these handbags are sending out signals to the outside world about us, whether we like it or not. These signals are being sent out, whether they're true about us or not. Now, these signals can lead to people thinking we're doing aspirational spending, or maybe some of us are doing aspirational spending, where we're buying things, or people perceive us as buying things to become a better version of ourselves in the future, and we're not quite there yet. Now, if you feel that way about yourself, like I'm spending because I want to level up, I want to have a higher lifestyle, and having these designer handbags as part of that, that can segue you into having imposter syndrome, where you can feel like a fraud because you're buying things that are outside of your tax bracket in a lifestyle that you don't deserve just yet. Now, if you do get those feelings of self-doubt, like, was this really irresponsible thing to do? Should I have spent an arm and a leg on this handbag? Maybe I am an insecure person trying to hide it all in a bag. Maybe that's a really trashy thing to do, is to spend like a car's worth of money on a handbag when I only have a normal income. Then once the imposter syndrome feelings start to come in and you feel like a fraud, you will start to feel inauthentic. Just like the girl in the first story who bought the It Girl dress and wasn't really hers, you can start to feel like you're wearing a bit of a costume when you're wearing your designer handbag, if you have imposter syndrome. When you have those feelings of inauthenticity, like you're wearing a costume, it can actually make you feel quite bad. Whereas normally when you buy these items, it will give you a feeling of elation, bit of a dopamine hit. Well, when you get the imposter syndrome feelings, you'll probably go in the opposite direction and you're going to feel down about it, and you're going to feel bad about your luxury purchases. They'll just bring your mental health down. You may even feel awkward wearing your designer handbags because you don't want it to draw attention. Now, having said that, the article does describe that not all luxury goods consumers feel this way, and the ones that are less likely to feel this way are the ones who are psychologically entitled. So maybe that's me. Maybe that's why I don't really feel imposter syndrome, because maybe I'm psychologically entitled. And they describe the people who are psychologically entitled as the ones who feel as though they deserve the best in life. And you know what? I strive to have the best in life for myself. I mean, I only got one life. I might as well strive in it and try to make it as comfortable and enjoyable for myself as possible. I mean, who wants to be sad and miserable? No one. And this is even a marketing tactic, the "you deserve it" marketing tactic. And you'll see L'Oreal uses this slogan. So maybe I'm a victim of L'Oreal's marketing. They've made me feel as though I deserve it, and I've become psychologically entitled. I mean, even with this YouTube channel, for example, I had to do a lot of aspirational spending just to be able to make content that's worthy of your time and energy. In order to make content that looked and sounded okay, I had to go out and buy a camera, microphone, lighting, video editing software, thumbnail editing software. So a lot of money was put behind just this even small channel just to make content that you would even want to watch. And I'm not even anyone who's, YouTuber proper. I'm just a person who just talks behind a camera to the people who love handbags. And I love doing this week in and week out. And that's why I was okay with doing the aspirational spending for it. Do I aspire to be able to grow this channel into a bigger one? Of course I do. I want the best for myself in life. And if that means growing a community who love talking about handbags, especially vintage ones, then that's what I want to do. And I want to be able to make content that's worthy of your time. Tell me what you think about these handbags. Do you think that we're all sending out these tacky signals, these trashy signals to the people around us? I think we're not to the other handbag lovers, but maybe we are to the non-handbag lovers who just simply don't get why we're spending that much. Like, they can recognize certain logos and they can recognize that it's an expensive item, a probably outlandish expensive item, and they may be receiving those signals. But I also believe at the end of the day, the signals that are being received by other people all depends on their own perspective as well. So I think it's a bit of a two-way streak. So not everyone is going to receive the same signals for you. You're not going to be sending out trashy signals to everyone. It's all depending upon the bias the other person has as to what signal they receive, because the signal is actually their perception of you and not really what you're pushing out to them. You could be pushing out something completely unrelated and they will be thinking of you in a way that's different to what you're trying to push out in terms of your signaling. So tell me in the comment section, has anyone tried to shame you for being tacky or trashy with the amount of money you spend on your handbags? Let me know in the comment section. Now, if you haven't already seen my video about the appropriateness of luxury handbags in the workplace, I'm going to leave that here for you to carry on with next.